"Mama can't breathe, her ribs are broken," cried the native child. Rancher stood against the west. The morning sun stretched its golden fingers across the small Native American reservation, painting the earth in soft shades of orange and brown. Little Eli woke up to the gentle sounds of birds singing, their songs weaving through the air like tiny threads of comfort. He rubbed his eyes, still half asleep, and peeked out of the small window of his family's modest wooden home. The sky was brightening, promising another day of work, play, and the quiet rhythm of life that his people had known for generations. Eli's home was simple, but full of warmth. The walls were lined with handmade blankets and carved wooden figurines that his father had left behind, each telling a story from the past. Mama Lila, his mother, was already awake. Her hands moved swiftly, preparing breakfast over the small stove, the aroma of cornmeal and fresh herbs filling the tiny room. Eli noticed the way the morning light caught her hair, a soft brown streaked with hints of silver, showing the years of care and hard work she had given to her family. "Good morning, Mama," Eli said, climbing down from his bed and stretching his small arms toward the sky. "Good morning, my little one," Mama Lila replied with a warm smile. She placed a small bowl of steaming porridge on the wooden table. "Eat quickly. We have a lot to do today." Eli sat down and dug in, savoring each bite.
What?
Life on the reservation was not easy, but it was full of love and community. He knew that every meal was a blessing, every smile a treasure. Outside, he could hear the distant sounds of other children running and laughing, their voices mingling with the soft wind that carried the scent of earth and grass. After breakfast, Eli and his mother stepped outside. The morning air was crisp and fresh, carrying the faint smell of dew-covered soil. The wide-open land stretched as far as Eli's eyes could see, dotted with patches of wildflowers and tall grass swaying gently in the breeze. He loved this land. It felt like a living thing, breathing and whispering stories of those who had walked here before him. "Isla, we need to check the garden today," Mama Lila said. "The vegetables are growing well, but the weeds are getting stronger too." Eli nodded eagerly. He loved helping his mother in the garden. It was a place where he felt useful, where he could see the results of his efforts grow right before his eyes. Together, they moved through the rows of corn, beans, and squash. Eli carefully pulled the weeds, his small hands working with surprising skill. Mama Lila tended the taller plants, brushing her fingers over the leaves, checking for any signs of trouble. As they worked, Eli noticed how people in their community came together every morning. Neighbors greeted each other with friendly waves and gentle words, offering help wherever it was needed. Some brought water from the nearby stream, while others carried tools or baskets of food to share. Eli loved seeing the way everyone supported each other, even when life was hard. It made him feel safe and proud to be part of something bigger than himself. But even in the calm of the morning, there were whispers of trouble. Rumors had begun to circulate about the ranchers who lived beyond the reservation. Rancher Tom, a man known for his stubbornness and strict control over his land, had been expanding his territory, slowly moving closer to the reservation with each passing month. The adults in the community spoke quietly about the changes, their voices heavy with concern. Eli did not understand all the details, but he could sense the tension. Sometimes he saw his mother pause, her brow furrowing as she listened to neighbors or read letters from the local council. The worry in her eyes made Eli's stomach twist, a feeling he could not quite explain. He wanted to protect her, to make her smile again, but he was just a child. All he could do was stay close, helping where he could and keeping her company. After finishing their work in the garden, Eli and Mama Lila walked toward the small stream that ran along the edge of the reservation. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and Eli loved the way it gurgled over the smooth stones. He dipped his hands into the cool water, splashing gently, while Mama Lila filled a small bucket to take back home. "Eli, remember to be careful," she said, watching him closely. "The water looks safe, but always stay where I can see you." "Yes, Mama," Eli replied, grinning. He loved these moments with her, simple and peaceful, feeling the water trickle through his fingers and listening to the gentle sounds of nature around them. As they walked back home, Eli noticed the first signs of the rancher's presence. A fence had been erected along the edge of the land, its wooden posts tall and imposing. He had seen similar fences before, marking the boundaries of property, but this one felt different. It seemed like a wall separating his community from the open land they had always known. "Why are they putting up fences, Mama?" Eli asked, curiosity and concern mingling in his voice. Mama Lila sighed, kneeling to meet his eyes. "They want to control the land, Eli. Sometimes people forget that this land belongs to everyone, not just a few who think they can take it." Eli frowned, trying to understand. He had always believed the land was alive, that it belonged to all who lived on it, not just those who claimed it. The thought that someone could come and decide what was theirs made him uneasy. They returned home, carrying the bucket of water and a few vegetables from the garden. Mama Lila began preparing lunch while Eli played quietly near the door, watching the shadows grow longer as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Despite the worry in the air, the day continued with small joys. Laughter shared with neighbors, the taste of fresh food, and the warmth of being with family. Later in the afternoon, Eli's father, who worked in a nearby town, returned home. His presence brought a sense of calm, a reminder that the family was not alone. He carried stories of the outside world, tales of challenges and triumphs, and he always made time to listen to Eli's questions, answering them with patience and care. As evening approached, the family gathered around a small fire outside their home. The sky turned shades of pink and purple, and the first stars began to appear. Mama Lila told stories of their ancestors, of brave men and women who had faced hardships and protected their people. Eli listened intently, imagining the courage it must have taken to live in those times, feeling a sense of pride and connection to his heritage. The calm of the evening was comforting, but Eli could not shake the unease that had settled in his heart. He had glimpsed the edges of a larger world, a place where rules were not always fair, and where people like his family had to stand strong to protect what was theirs. He did not yet know how those challenges would come to their door, but he felt a quiet determination growing inside him, a small flame that would not be extinguished. As night fell and the family prepared for sleep, Eli lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The sounds of the wind through the trees and the distant calls of night animals lulled him into a state of quiet reflection. He thought of the land he loved, of his mother's gentle hands, and of the community that surrounded him. And though he did not understand everything that was coming, he felt ready to face it, to grow strong alongside those he loved, and to carry the stories of his people forward. The first part of Eli's story ended with the world seemingly calm, yet with tension lingering like a shadow just beyond the horizon. It was a moment of innocence, of beauty, and of quiet preparation. Little did Eli know, the days ahead would test him in ways he had never imagined. The peace he felt now was precious, a memory that would guide him through trials, showing him the strength of love, community, and courage. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the reservation, painting the land with soft shades of gold and pink. Little Eli woke up feeling restless. The memory of the fence he had seen yesterday lingered in his mind. The tall wooden posts seemed like a barrier. not just to the land, but to the life he had always known. He tried to push the thoughts away as he got dressed, eager to help his mother with the morning chores. Mama Leela was already outside, sweeping the small porch and humming a soft tune. Her voice carried the warmth and comfort that Eli had always relied on. She looked up and smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, my little one," she said, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. "Come help me with the chickens before the sun gets too high." Eli ran to her side, excited to start the day. The chickens clucked and scratched at the ground as Mama Lila opened the coop, letting them out to roam. Eli laughed as a small brown hen pecked gently at his shoe. He helped collect the eggs, careful not to break any, while his mother watched with a proud smile. After finishing with the chickens, they walked toward the edge of the reservation, where the garden met the open fields. The crops were growing taller now, the green leaves brushing against Eli's small hands as they walked. But as they approached the corner of their land, Eli noticed something unusual. There were footprints in the dirt, large and deep, leading toward the garden. "Eli, be careful," Mama Lila said, her voice calm but alert. She knelt down to inspect the footprints. "Someone has been here." Ellie's heart began to race. "Who, Mama?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm not sure," she replied, "but we need to be careful and make sure nothing is taken or damaged." Eli followed his mother as she checked the crops and the small storage shed. Everything seemed intact, but the footprints worried him. The land had always been safe, a place where he could run and play without fear. The thought that someone had been there without permission made him uneasy. Just as they were finishing, they heard a distant voice calling. Eli squinted toward the open fields and saw a figure approaching. It was Rancher Tom, the man whose land bordered the reservation. He was tall and strong, with a face that looked stern even in the soft morning light. Eli had seen him from afar before, but now he felt a strange mix of curiosity and fear. "Good morning," Rancher Tom called out, his voice carrying across the fields. "I wanted to come by and talk." Mama Lila stood straight, keeping her tone polite but firm. "Good morning, Mr. Tom. What brings you here?" "I wanted to discuss the water rights," he said. "I know there's been some confusion about the streams and irrigation. I just want to make sure we understand each other." Ellie listened carefully as his mother and Rancher Tom spoke. The words were polite, but there was a tension in the air that Eli could feel. He did not fully understand water rights or legal agreements, but he knew that this conversation mattered. His mother's hands were steady, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of worry. As the discussion continued, Eli noticed the way Rancher Tom looked around, observing the land as if he were measuring it with his eyes. He did not smile or make friendly gestures. His gaze was focused and serious. Eli's stomach tightened. Something about the way he moved made Eli feel small and unsure. After a few minutes, Mama Lila spoke calmly. "The stream provides water for our crops and our animals. We do our best to share and respect the land, but we cannot give up what we need to survive." Rancher Tom nodded slowly, but his expression remained firm. "I understand, but we have our own needs, too. We must find a balance." The conversation seemed to go on for hours, even though only a short time had passed. Eli watched his mother stand strong, her voice steady, and he felt a swell of pride. She had always been gentle, but she also had a quiet strength that made people listen. He wanted to be brave like her, even if he was only a child. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the discussion came to a pause. Rancher Tom turned to leave, but Eli noticed the way he glanced toward the fence line, his eyes lingering on the reservation land. There was something in his expression that Eli could not read, something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Once the man had gone, Mama Lila let out a deep sigh and wiped her hands on her apron. "We must remain careful," she said. "He has influence, and he will try to take advantage if we are not vigilant." Eli nodded, though he did not fully understand. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, a feeling that was both frightening and exciting. He wanted to help, to be part of protecting the land he loved. The rest of the day passed in a mix of chores and small joys. Eli and his mother worked in the garden, prepared meals, and shared laughter over small games. But there was an underlying tension that Eli could not ignore. He kept glancing toward the edge of the land, remembering the footprints in the fence, wondering what would happen next. In the afternoon, Eli went to visit his friend Marin, who lived a few houses down the road. Marin was playful and energetic, with a laugh that could brighten the darkest day. They ran across the fields, playing tag and climbing small hills, pretending to be explorers on a grand adventure. For a while, Eli could forget his worries and feel the simple joy of being a child. But even in play, the shadow of the morning lingered. Eli noticed the way his friend's older brother spoke about the ranchers with caution, warning them not to wander too close to the fences. Eli listened carefully, understanding more than he had before. He realized that the land they loved was not entirely safe, that they had to protect it and each other. As the sun began to set, Eli and Marin returned home. The sky was painted in soft oranges and purples, and the first stars began to twinkle above. Mama Lila was waiting, preparing a simple dinner of vegetables and bread. The smell of cooking filled the small home, bringing comfort and a sense of safety. After dinner, Eli sat beside his mother, listening to her talk about the importance of community and standing up for what was right. She said softly. "Sometimes life will bring challenges. There will be people who do not understand or respect us, but we must remain strong, and we must care for each other. That is how we protect our home and our hearts." Eli nodded, taking in her words. He did not fully understand all that it meant, but he felt a determination growing inside him, a quiet courage that told him he could face whatever came next. Later that evening, Eli lay in bed, thinking about the day's events. He imagined the land stretching endlessly, the fields and streams alive with the energy of life. He thought of his mother, standing strong and brave, and he felt a warmth that chased away some of his fear. But he also knew that challenges were coming, and that he would need to be ready. As he drifted toward sleep, Eli could hear the soft sounds of the night, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of animals, and the gentle wind moving across the land. It was a reminder that life continued, that the land would endure, and that he was part of a community that would face challenges together. And in that quiet moment, Eli made a promise to himself. He would watch, he would learn, and he would be ready to protect the land he loved. He did not yet know how difficult the days ahead would be, but he felt the first spark of courage, a small flame that would guide him through the trials to come. The second part of his story ended with a sense of anticipation. The calm of the morning and the quiet joys of the day had given way to a new awareness. Eli understood that life was not always safe or fair, but he also understood that he was not alone. His mother, his community, and the land itself were with him, giving him the strength to face the uncertain future. The next morning was cool and quiet. A soft mist hung over the reservation, making the land look like it was wrapped in a gentle blanket. Eli woke early, as usual, and slipped quietly from his bed so he wouldn't wake his mother. He felt a mixture of curiosity and unease. the memory of yesterday's conversation with Rancher Tom still heavy in his mind. Something about the way the man had looked at the land felt strange, and Eli could not shake the feeling that today might be different. After breakfast, Mama Lila handed Eli a small basket. "We need to check the northern edge of the garden today," she said. "Some of the crops there have been struggling, and I want to make sure everything is okay." Eli nodded and took the basket, feeling proud to help. He liked being trusted with responsibilities, and he loved the feeling of working beside his mother. Together they walked across the garden, inspecting the tall stalks of corn, the rows of beans, and the green leaves of the squash. Eli carefully picked a few weeds, making sure not to damage the plants, while Mama Lila examined the soil and checked for signs of dryness or disease. As they reached the northern edge of the garden, Eli noticed something unusual. There were small marks in the soil, prints of someone or something moving through the garden during the night. Eli pointed to them, his eyes wide. "Mama, look," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Someone was here." Mama Lila knelt down and examined the marks closely. Her face was calm, but Eli could see a hint of worry in her eyes. "It seems that way," she said softly. "But we will make sure nothing is damaged. Let's continue carefully." They moved along the edge of the garden, checking the plants. The crops were mostly fine, but a few of the taller stalks of corn were bent, as if someone had walked through them. Eli's heart sank. He loved this garden. It was their life, their food, and their pride. Seeing it disturbed made him feel a deep sadness. As they worked, Eli heard a sound behind him, a soft rustle in the grass. He turned quickly and saw a figure standing near the fence line. It was Rancher Tom. His tall frame cast a shadow across the garden, and his eyes were focused on the crops. Eli felt a tight knot form in his stomach. "Good morning," Rancher Tom said, his voice calm but serious. "I came to make sure everything is all right." "We are fine, Mr. Tom," she said. "The garden is growing well." "We just noticed some marks from last night." Rancher Tom nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. "I see," he said. "I hope there are no problems. It would be unfortunate if anything happened to your crops." Eli watched his mother carefully. She spoke with strength, but Eli could feel the tension in the air. Something about Rancher Tom's presence made him feel small and unsure. He wanted to run and hide, but he stayed close to his mother, trusting her to handle the situation. Suddenly, Mama Lila noticed one of the corn stalks bent in a way that worried her. She reached out to straighten it, and Eli moved to help. As he touched the stalk, he felt a sharp pang of fear. His mother winced and leaned against him for support. "Mama?" Eli asked, alarmed. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, my little one," she said, though her voice sounded strained. "Just a small ache. Let's take it slowly." Eli helped her move to a nearby bench under the shade of a tree. She sat down, breathing slowly, and Eli held her hand. He could feel her heartbeat, and it was steady, but slow. Eli's mind raced. He wanted to help her, to make the ache go away, but he was only a child. Rancher Tom watched silently, his expression still serious. "Perhaps you should rest for a while," he said finally. "It can be tiring to work in the sun." Mama Lila nodded, grateful for the suggestion, though she kept her gaze firm. "Thank you," she said. "We will manage." Eli stayed by her side, worried. He noticed the way her breathing sounded different, slower and more careful than usual. He remembered the words he had learned in school about health and how to care for people. He knew that he needed to stay calm and watch her closely. As the morning continued, more neighbors came by to check on the garden. Some brought fresh water, while others offered to help with the chores. Eli saw the way the community worked together, supporting each other in times of need. It gave him a sense of comfort, knowing that they were not alone. Despite the help, Eli could see that his mother was in discomfort. He stayed near her, holding her hand and talking quietly to distract her. "Mama, remember the story you told me yesterday about the ancestors?" he asked. "The one with the brave woman who protected her village?" Mama Leela smiled faintly, appreciating the distraction. "Yes, I remember," she said softly. "She was strong, just like you will be when you grow older." He wanted to be strong for her now, even though he was only a child. He looked around and saw the garden, the community, and the wide land beyond, realizing that all of these things were precious and worth protecting. By midday, Mama Lila's discomfort began to ease, thanks to the gentle care of neighbors and the attention Eli gave her. She rested on the bench, sipping water and breathing slowly. Eli stayed close, noticing every small detail: her hand's warmth, the way she closed her eyes for a moment, and the quiet strength she carried even in discomfort. As they prepared to return home, Eli noticed the footprints again, leading toward the fence line. He remembered the way Rancher Tom had looked at the land and the crops. A thought came to him. Maybe the footprints were from someone trying to see how much the garden could grow, or maybe they were just animals. He didn't know for sure, but the feeling of unease lingered. That afternoon, Eli's father returned from town. He carried a small basket of supplies and a kind, reassuring smile. Seeing him brought a sense of relief to Eli, who ran to greet him. Together, the family discussed the morning's events. Mama Leela explained what had happened, focusing on the facts while staying calm. Eli's father listened carefully, nodding. "We must stay strong and watch over our land," he said. "But we must also remain calm. Panic will not help anyone. We protect what is ours with care and wisdom." Eli nodded, taking in his father's words. He realized that protecting the land and the garden was not just about strength. It was about patience, observation, and thinking carefully about every action. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, Eli and his mother sat outside their home. The air was cool, and the faint scent of flowers filled the space around them. Eli leaned against his mother, feeling her warmth and hearing her gentle heartbeat.
"Mama," he said softly, "I will help you."
"I will watch the garden, the land, and everything we love. I promise." Mama Leela smiled, brushing his hair gently. "I know you will, my little one," she said. "And remember, courage is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is just standing beside someone you love, protecting them in small ways." Eli thought about her words, feeling the quiet courage growing inside him. He realized that even though he was small, he could make a difference. He could care for his mother, watch over the garden, and be part of the community that protected the land. As night fell, Eli lay in bed, thinking about the day's events. He thought of the garden, the footprints, and the careful words of his parents. He knew that challenges were coming, and that life would not always be simple. But he also knew that he was not alone. He had his mother, his father, and the people around him who cared for him. The quiet night wrapped the land in peace, but Eli could feel the tension beneath it, a reminder that life was never without challenges. And he understood that courage, love, and careful observation would help him face whatever was ahead. For the first time, Eli felt the weight of responsibility growing inside him. But it was not frightening. It was a spark of determination that told him he could protect the things he loved, even in the face of uncertainty. The third part of Eli's story ended with this quiet strength: a child learning the importance of patience, courage, and care. The day had been filled with worry, but it had also been filled with lessons, love, and the realization that even the smallest person could make a difference in the world around them. The morning air was crisp, carrying the soft scent of dew and earth. Little Eli woke with a sense of purpose. He remembered his mother's words from yesterday about courage being quiet, about standing strong even in small ways. Today he felt that purpose more than ever. Something was coming. He could feel it, and he wanted to be ready. Mama Lila was already outside, preparing breakfast over the small stove. The smell of warm bread and herbs filled the small home, comforting and familiar. Eli slipped on his shoes and joined her, helping to set the table with careful hands. The routine of breakfast, small as it was, brought a sense of normalcy and calm before the challenges of the day. "Ellie," Mama Lila said, her eyes meeting his with a gentle seriousness, "today we need to be careful. The land and the garden are important, and we must protect them. But we must also stay calm and wise." Ellie nodded. He understood her words better now. Courage was not just rushing forward, it was paying attention, thinking carefully, and standing beside the people and things you loved. After breakfast, the two of them walked toward the northern edge of the garden again. The crops were strong and green, but Eli noticed that some of the corn stalks were bent more than before. It seemed as though someone had walked through during the night. He pointed it out to his mother, and she knelt down to examine the plants. "These marks are fresh," she said softly. "We must pay attention to every detail, Eli. Every footprint, every broken leaf tells a story." Eli leaned closer, examining the footprints in the soft soil. They were deeper than the last ones, and their path seemed to come from beyond the fence. He felt a mix of fear and determination. He wanted to run and hide, but he stayed by his mother's side, ready to face whatever came. As they worked, a voice called from beyond the fence. It was Rancher Tom. His tone was calm but firm, and he looked around the garden carefully. "Good morning," he said. "I see you are tending to the crops." Mama Lila stood straight, her hands on her hips. "Yes, Mr. Tom. We take care of our garden every day. It is our life, and we treat it with respect." Rancher Tom nodded, his eyes lingering on the land. "I understand," he said, "but I need to make sure that the water and the land are used fairly. We must respect each other's needs." Eli noticed that his mother's hands were steady, but her eyes were watchful. He felt a spark of pride. She was standing strong, polite but firm, showing courage without anger. He wanted to be brave like her. Suddenly a strong gust of wind blew across the garden, bending the corn and rustling the leaves. Eli held on to his mother's arm, and she smiled gently, calming him. "See, Eli," she said, "sometimes life moves us with forces we cannot control. We cannot fight the wind, but we can adjust and stand together." Eli took a deep breath and nodded. He realized that courage was like that, sometimes quiet, sometimes needing patience, and sometimes simply about holding on. As the morning passed, more neighbors came to check on the garden. Some brought water, some helped straighten the bent corn, and others carried small tools. Eli noticed how the community came together, supporting each other quietly but firmly. He understood that courage was not only in individuals, it was in the people who stand together to protect what they love. By midday, Rancher Tom returned. This time he walked closer to the fence, observing the garden more carefully. Eli's heart beat faster, but he stayed by his mother's side, keeping his eyes on her.
Mama Lila spoke with calm confidence, explaining the growth of the crops and the careful use of water.
She answered each question politely, never raising her voice but making it clear that the garden and the land were their responsibility. Eli watched and learned. He saw how courage could be quiet, how strength could be shown with calm words, and how careful attention could protect something precious. He realized that being brave was not always about fighting. Sometimes it was about observing, understanding, and speaking the truth clearly.
As the afternoon sun climbed higher, a small commotion began near the fence.
Eli noticed a few of the ranch hands moving about, checking their own land and the boundary lines. They were polite, but their presence added tension to the air. Eli held his mother's hand, feeling the warmth and reassurance. She nodded at him, a silent message that everything would be all right if they stayed calm and careful. Suddenly, one of the taller cornstalks near the edge bent and broke under the weight of the wind. Eli's mother stepped quickly to support it, and Eli rushed to help her. Together, they carefully lifted the stalk, making sure the plants were not damaged. "See, Eli?" Mama Lila said, smiling. "Sometimes we face difficulties, but with care and attention, we can protect what we love. Strength is in patience and thoughtfulness, not just force." Eli nodded, understanding more than ever. The garden was not just plants, it was life, care, and the strength of the community. Protecting it meant paying attention, acting wisely, and standing together. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, Eli and his mother prepared to return home. The garden was safe, thanks to careful attention and the support of neighbors. The footprints and the presence of the ranch hands had not caused damage, but Eli knew that vigilance was always needed. On the walk back, Eli thought about everything he had learned. He thought about the courage of his mother, the support of the community, and the care needed to protect the land. He realized that standing up for what was right did not always require loud words or actions. It could be shown in quiet moments of attention, patience, and care. When they reached home, Eli's father had returned from town. He smiled at them, seeing their calm and careful demeanor. "How was the garden today?" he asked. Mama Lila explained the day's events calmly, emphasizing the importance of careful observation and community support. Ellie spoke too, describing the footprints, the wind, and the lessons he had learned about courage. His parents listened with pride, seeing how he was growing and understanding the responsibilities of life. That evening, the family gathered outside their home, watching the sunset in a sky painted with pink and orange. The air was cool, carrying the soft scent of flowers and earth. Eli sat close to his mother, feeling her warmth and strength.
"Mama," he said softly, "I understand now. Courage is quiet.
Strength is careful, and we protect what we love by being thoughtful and standing together." Mama Lila smiled, brushing his hair gently. "Yes, my little one," she said. "And remember, sometimes the greatest bravery is in patience, attention, and love. The world will challenge us, but we can face it together." Eli thought about the footprints, the wind, and the presence of Rancher Tom. He knew challenges would continue, but he felt a quiet confidence growing inside him. He understood that courage was not always about action. It was about wisdom, care, and the willingness to stand for what mattered most. As night fell, the stars began to twinkle above, and the air grew still. Eli lay in bed, thinking about the day and everything he had learned. The garden was safe, his mother was cared for, and he had begun to understand the quiet power of courage. For the first time, Eli felt ready for the days ahead. He knew there would be challenges, but he also knew that with careful attention, courage, and the support of his family and community, he could face them. The fourth part of his story ended with a sense of quiet strength. Eli had faced uncertainty and tension, but he had learned the value of careful observation, patience, and courage. He understood that protecting the land and the people he loved required wisdom, attention, and the quiet bravery of standing together. And in that peaceful night, Eli felt ready. The wind, the footprints, and the presence of the outside world had taught him lessons he would carry forever. He was learning not just to survive, but to understand, care, and protect. The journey was not over, but he felt the first true sense of readiness for whatever might come next. The morning arrived quietly, the sun rising slowly and casting a warm glow over the reservation. Little Eli woke with a sense of calm determination. The lessons of the past days, the footprints in the garden, the careful words of his mother, the watchful eyes of Rancher Tom, had all settled into his mind. Today he felt ready for whatever challenges might come, but he also felt hope, the kind that grows quietly in the heart when people stand together. Mama Lila was already awake, humming softly as she prepared breakfast. The smell of warm cornmeal and herbs drifted through their small home. Eli joined her at the table, helping to set out bowls and spoons. His father had returned from town, and together the family ate in quiet contentment, savoring the ordinary blessings that were sometimes overlooked. The warmth of food, the comfort of family, and the gentle light of a new day. After breakfast, Eli and his mother walked toward the garden once more. The crops were stronger now, their leaves a deeper green, standing tall despite the wind and footprints of the past week. Eli ran his hands over the stalks, feeling the smooth leaves beneath his fingers, and he realized how much life and care went into each one. This garden was more than food. It was a symbol of resilience, patience, and the strength of those who tended it.
Mama, Eli said softly, the garden is growing so well. I can see how hard work and care make a difference.
Mama Lila smiled, her eyes warm. Yes, Eli, she said, everything we love must be nurtured. Life may challenge us, but when we care for what is important, it grows stronger. As they worked through the morning, neighbors came by to help. Some carried water from the stream, while others straightened the bent corn or removed weeds. Eli noticed how everyone worked quietly but confidently, their movements in harmony like the gentle rhythm of the land itself. The garden was not just their own. It was a shared effort, a reflection of the community's care, and Eli felt proud to be part of it. Suddenly, Eli noticed movement near the fence. Rancher Tom was approaching again. This time, however, his expression seemed different. It was less stern, less observing, and more thoughtful. He walked slowly, his gaze moving across the garden, the crops, and the people tending them. Eli's heart beat faster, but he stayed by his mother's side, remembering her words about quiet courage and careful attention. Tom, Mama Lila said, her voice steady and calm. We are glad to see you taking an interest in the garden. Rancher Tom nodded. I have been watching the garden grow, he said. I can see the care and attention you have put into it. It is impressive. Ellie felt a small thrill of pride. Even the man who had caused them unease now recognized the value of their work. He understood that courage and patience, even in the face of worry, could lead to respect. I want to make sure that everyone is treated fairly, Rancher Tom continued. I realize that I need to respect the land and the people who live here. We can find a way to share what we need without harming each other. Mama Lila's eyes softened, a quiet smile spreading across her face. That is all we ask, she said. Respect and understanding go a long way. When we care for the land and each other, everyone benefits. Ellie watched the exchange with fascination. He realized that speaking calmly, standing firm in truth, and showing care for the land had brought this change. Courage was not about shouting or forcing others. It was about honesty, patience, and the willingness to protect what was important. The rest of the day passed in a gentle rhythm. Eli and his mother continued to care for the garden, while neighbors visited to check on the crops or share stories. Laughter filled the air as children ran through the rows of corn, and the sunlight danced on the leaves, creating patterns of gold and green. Even Rancher Tom remained nearby, observing quietly but respectfully. No longer a source of worry but a reminder that understanding could grow through patience. By afternoon, Mama Leela suggested they take a break. Eli and she sat beneath the shade of a large tree, sipping water and watching the garden sway in the breeze. "Eli," she said, "remember the lessons of the past days. Courage is quiet, strength is gentle, and love can protect what is most important. You have seen how small actions, done with care, can make a big difference." Eli nodded, feeling the truth of her words. He thought about the footprints, the bent corn stalks, and the moments of worry. He thought about how the community had come together, how his parents had guided him, and how even a stern man like Rancher Tom could change when met with patience and honesty. "I understand now, Mama," he said. "I will always try to care, watch, and protect. I will be brave in quiet ways, just like you taught me." Mama Lila smiled, brushing his hair gently. "I know you will, my little one. And remember, courage is also about standing beside others, helping them grow, and sharing what we have." Painting the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, Eli's father returned from town. He carried news that the council had agreed to formally recognize the community's right to care for their land, ensuring that their crops, water, and home would be respected. The family shared a quiet celebration, grateful for the peaceful resolution and the acknowledgement of their hard work. Eli felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He realized that courage, patience, and care had made a real difference. The garden was safe, his mother was well, and the community's efforts had brought understanding and respect. It was a lesson he would carry forever, that even small actions, guided by love and thoughtfulness, could protect what mattered most. That evening, the family gathered outside their home. The air was cool, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers and the soft sounds of evening birds. Eli leaned against his mother, feeling her warmth and strength. They watched the sky darken, stars beginning to twinkle above, and he felt a quiet connection to the land, to his family, and to the people around him. "Mama," he said softly, "I think I understand what you meant. Life will have challenges, but if we care, stay brave, and stand together, we can face anything." Mama Lila smiled, her eyes shining. "Yes, Eli," she said, "and never forget that courage is also about love, care, and patience. Protecting what you love is the greatest bravery of all." Ellie thought about the days that had passed, the footprints, the wind, the presence of Rancher Tom, and the lessons learned in the garden. He realized that he had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. He had discovered that courage could be quiet, patience could be powerful, and love could protect more than force ever could. As night fell, Eli lay in bed, listening to the gentle sounds of the world outside. The wind whispered through the trees, the distant stream gurgled softly, and the stars twinkled above like tiny lanterns guiding the way. He thought about the garden, the community, and the lessons of the past week. For the first time, he felt a sense of true peace. The challenges had been real, but so had the strength and love around him. He knew that life would continue to bring tests and surprises, but he felt ready. He had learned the quiet power of courage, the importance of community, and the value of protecting what mattered most. The story of Eli and his family ended not with a grand battle or a loud victory, but with the quiet assurance of strength, care, and hope. The garden remained, growing strong and vibrant, a symbol of perseverance and unity. The community continued to support one another, sharing labor, laughter, and love. And Eli, small but brave in his own way, had discovered that true courage came not from fearlessness, but from patience, care, and the determination to protect the things that mattered most. As he drifted to sleep, Eli knew that the world could be challenging, but he also knew that he could face it with courage and love. The lessons of patience, careful attention, and quiet bravery would guide him through life, helping him grow into someone who could protect, care, and stand strong for the things he loved. And in that peaceful night, beneath the stars and the gentle wind, Eli felt a sense of hope that would remain with him forever. He had learned that the smallest hands, guided by love and careful thought, could make a big difference. He had discovered that courage is quiet, patience is powerful, and love is the strongest force of all.